We are cruising Morpho, based out of sunny Key West, Florida. Due to COVID, we are working almost strictly from home, so we decided to buy a catamaran and make it our full-time home.
This is crazy, this is crazy, this is crazy.
I'm Cindy, and this is Dave. Together, we are trying to retire before retirement. That is, we both work full-time, but try to enjoy life and cruise the waters as much as possible on evenings, weekends, and holidays. Join us as we try to beat Father Time and cruise the warm, tropical waters of the Florida Keys, the Bahamas, and beyond. Hey, and hit subscribe to cruise with us and watch us learn. We will improve at the video production, we promise. Ready?
Yeah.
So we've been thinking about going for the Bahamas for a couple weeks now, but the weather hasn't been really great for us. But we just took a look at a weather window and it looks like we might be able to make the trip. So the first step in making a trip like this is to provision the boat. We don't know exactly how long we're going to stay, so I'm going to try to provision the food and water for a month. So the only challenging part is Dave and I became vegans a little over a year ago, so it's hard to pack fresh produce for an entire month. So I'll probably be provisioning quite a bit of frozen produce as well as these frozen meat products that we've grown accustomed to eating. We are gotten a little bit addicted to Beyond Burgers and the Beyond Meat products. So we'll probably be packing a lot of that. So that is my job for the next 2 days, is to get the food and water and toiletry supplies, things like that, provision for a month's journey. Also included would be things such as spare parts, and that is more Dave's arena.
Yeah, I think a big part of this is, since we're going so far and we're going to be in the Bahamas and you can't just order things in as you need them, we need to make sure that we have plenty of filters, plenty of oil, plenty of seals, plenty of pumps, belts, everything that the boat needs. In general, when we do the maintenance on it, I reorder everything so I have a spare of everything. And we do keep a spreadsheet of where everything is at, because believe it or not, it's hard to find it later. So we've gone through, and I think as far as keeping the boat running, we have everything that we need.
So let's get provisioning.
Let's go.
So here's a look at South Florida and the Caribbean. And just to give you an idea of the trip we're planning and what we're trying to do here, we're trying to get from Key West, which is right here, to Staniel Key, which is right around here. And there's really a couple of ways to approach this. So you can either go straight across here, around the south end of Andros, across the tongue of the ocean, and then into Staniel Key. The other way is to go up the Keys and at some point make a crossing to the Bahamas bank, and then make it across to Chub Key, or we could make it to Great Harbour Cay, which is around here, but all of this is the Berry Islands. And then there's several ways. From there you could make it to Nassau and then work your way down the bank until you make it down to Staniel Key, or work your way down the east side of Andros and then cross. So as you can see here, I took a stab at a route going around the south end of Andros just to see what the mileage would be and how long it would take us and any other obstacles that might be in the way. So the course starts right here, and then at point 4 we're now on the Bahamas bank, and then we come around the south end of Andros, making a crossing here on the tongue of the ocean, and then making it up to Staniel Key here. And looking at this, point 4, which is right here, making it to the bank, is 184 miles, and the entire trip is 375 miles. So in order for fuel not to be an issue, you would have to be going extremely slow, and for 375 miles, that's just too long for us, being that we both have jobs and we have to work. The other piece of this is you're making a very long crossing in deep water, so if something were to go wrong, you can't really just throw a hook in the deep water. Once you make it to the Bahama bank, you have a few more options, but crossing the deep water, it's a little bit more risky for that amount of time. Not that we wouldn't do it, and certainly if we had enough time we would do it, but it does come with its challenges. So the excitement is building as we get our plan together on how we're going to get to Staniel Cay. So if you look at the red path on the screen, this is what we're proposing right now. Now obviously it can change at any time due to weather or any other variables that I mentioned along the way. So first of all, we're going to start in Stock Island, which is our home port, and we'll pull straight out of there and head towards about a third of the way to Bimini, which is going to be a place called Lower Matacumbe Cay. And there's a fuel stop there that's got some pretty cheap diesel, and it's really right on our way with minimal out of the way cruising. From there, we're going to pick up and head right over to Bimini. Now, Bimini, we may stay a couple nights. We'll see how things go. Again, weather dependent, as well as other variables that sometimes pop up without you expecting them. But then we'll head on over to Great Harbour Cay in the Berry Islands, and we'll probably spend a few nights there. And once we've left there, we'll start our trek over to Staniel Cay. So we'll be heading down towards the east side of Andros, coming down the east side of Andros, and at some point where there's a narrow area in the tongue of the ocean, we'll cross over and head right over to Staniel Cay, which will be our final destination. And then at some point we will start planning the track back.
Good morning. So you're having your coffee?
I am. Little con leche.
Did you get enough sleep?
Yeah, pretty good. Not bad.
So tell us about our arrival to Bimini last night.
Well, we got in a little after sunset, right about 6:30, so that wasn't bad. We had enough light to set the anchor. Right after setting the anchor, we noticed that we had an opposing wind current situation going on. We tried to tweak our anchoring using the bridle line to make this boat spin into the current, but really weren't successful. It's too bad of conditions. So we ended up pulling the anchor about 3 hours later and moving in closer to shore. So it was about 9:30 or so. We set the anchor, and it was a lot better, and we were actually able to get a pretty good night's sleep. And this morning we were up bright and early. We're heading over to the Bimini Big Game Club to clear customs and integrations and get our party started. So it's our first morning here in the Bahamas, and Dave has just returned from Customs and Immigration, and there have been some recent developments. What happened over there, Sweet?
Well, it wasn't good. So immigration went well. Obviously, you got to go through immigration first, then customs. And so got us all checked in on immigration. Basically, one person is allowed off the boat. The captain is allowed off the boat. That person goes, checks everybody in, and then everybody can pile off the boat. Got us checked in immigration, went to customs, and was asked a series of questions about, do you have this, do you have that? Which one of the questions was, do you have spear guns on board? And I said, yes, we do. And to which they said, well, we'd like to see those spear guns, and they came to the boat to look at them, and then they confiscated them. And apparently you're not allowed to even own spear guns in the Bahamas. So I said, okay, fine, well, we'll come back through Bimini to pick them up later. And they said, well, you don't understand. Those spear guns are ours now. You don't get them back. So
And these are very nice spear guns and quite valuable. So I asked to speak to the gentleman's boss, and then I asked to speak to the gentleman's boss's boss, to where I hit the ceiling and was still getting the same answer. Although he did say at the last minute that he said, if you like, you can write the ministry or the deputy of customs for the Bahamas, and then maybe she would be able to help you out in some way. So I guess at that point he was tired of talking to me and wanted me to get out of the office, and that's what he offered up, and I am going to take his advice. So another point, they were all very nice and very professional, and I think that they're just trying to do their job. I do know it's illegal to spear fish with a spear gun in Bahamas, and hadn't planned to. I do have a pole spear, which is allowed, but I didn't know it's illegal to even have one on your boat. And I explained to them that, hey, we're living on this boat, and we carry all of our stuff, and that doesn't mean I'm going to go spear fishing with it while I'm in the Bahamas. But anyways, that's where we're at right now. I'm about to sit down and write an email to the deputy of customs for the Bahamas to see what kind of an answer that I get.
So it sounds like we're going to be staying in Bimini maybe a little longer than we expected, trying to figure out this spear gun debacle.
Yep, we planned on scooting right out of here and heading for the Berry Islands, but right now it looks like we're going to be here at least a couple more days to try and get this figured out.
So I wrote my email to the Deputy of Customs and sent it off, and now we are patiently awaiting a response if we get one. And in the meantime, we thought we would do a little bit of cruising around Bimini to check out the sights around here. It's the closest island to Florida, and generally a big stop for a lot of people from Florida. Anyways, we've got to prepare for the next leg of the trip, which means making sure that we're all fueled up and provisioned and ready to go, and I think we're about set. When I'm putting fuel in the boat in the Bahamas, I generally use this funnel that filters about 15 gallons per minute and separates out the water as well as any debris. It's always a good idea when you're in the Bahamas because of the quality of the fuel can sometimes be questionable. I recommend it.
So while waiting to hear back from Customs, we decided to go ahead and scoot over to Great Harbour Cay in the Berry Islands. It's about a 5-hour trek for us today, so we were waiting for some news and making our way over. While making our way over, we noticed these cruise ships right here at Great Harbour Cay. Tons and tons of cruise ships just anchored out here, sitting still due to COVID. And here we are arriving at Great Harbour Cay Marina. It is a Tuesday, and also because of COVID, the marina is usually closed on Tuesdays, but we have called and the dockmaster has agreed to meet us and get us in the slip. So here we are scooting in, and we will be docked shortly.
So we got all settled in and docked up, and one other thing I learned was in the Bahamas you need a permit to fly a drone. And so I applied for it online, got the application approved, and here I am trying it for the first time.
So Dave has just heard back from Customs, and they are going to allow us to come back through Bimini and get the spear guns. The only snatch is that they have to leave on a commercial boat or a commercial flight. So we are going to figure that out. But in the meantime, we are here and we are going to stay in Great Harbour for a couple of weeks and enjoy it.
Nothing like doing a backflip into a blue hole in the middle of the Bahamas and then racing around some of the beautiful islands there and checking out the gorgeous beaches with newly found friends. It was a beautiful trip, lots to see. Did a little bit of spear fishing, got a nice cubera, took 2 shots, got 2 nice fish, and then was able to take it back, clean it up, and serve it for dinner that night. We also got a chance to ride our bikes around the island, which was a lot of fun as well.
So in case you missed that, that was Dave saying, hey, are you looking for a bootlegger? I made one major flaw when provisioning. That is, didn't buy enough beer. We were told that if you go to this particular restaurant that you always see a green flash. No luck for us. The green flash remains as elusive as ever.
So we're on our last few days here at Great Harbour Cay. We've had a great time visiting the islands around the marina, meeting new friends, and just having a wonderful time. Too bad we're not better photographers and cinematographers to really do the place justice. It's absolutely beautiful. So for our trip back from Great Harbour Cay to Bimini, we decided to do it at night. Obviously, we were working during the week and we didn't want to work or wait for the weekend in order to make the trip back, so we just did it at night, and we thought it would be a nice experience to try to do some night cruising since we haven't done it in the past. And the moon was fairly bright, so we thought it would be a good time to do it. On our way back, we went by the same cruise ships that lit up the dark seas at night, and we did have some issues though, and so we don't have any video of it, and the reason is because as we were cruising along, the port engine went out, and so when I got down to the engine room, started looking through things, the fuel was clogged on the port engine, and I ended up having to pull the Raycor filter off, clean it out, got the engine running again, and then probably an hour later it did it again, and I had to pull it apart again and rebuild it. So this is an issue with Raycor filters. A weakness, I believe, that when the fuel goes through the filter, it goes through some very narrow channels, and it can clog it up before it even gets to the filter element. So for the future, I am going to buy some pre-filters for the engine so that they filter any solids out before it gets to the Raycor. We ended up getting in about 1 o'clock in the morning, which was pretty late, but there was a dock hand there to help us get into the slip, and everything went well there. The next morning as well, we were able to talk with customs and get everything worked out. I bought a ticket for the ferry that runs between Bimini and Fort Lauderdale, and I was able to get Cindy on that, and the customs agents delivered the guns to the boat, and she went on the ferry to Fort Lauderdale, and I cruised across by myself and met her there at the 15th Street Fisheries Restaurant. And so that's how we got the guns back.
And here we are the next morning. We have mentally gotten over our speargun debacle, and we're ready to start videoing again. So here we are, going through Miami on the Intercoastal, which is always a wonderful trip.
Hey Cindy, what you reading about?
I'm reading about Stiltsville. Stiltsville is like this group of stilt houses that are located in Biscayne Bay. They're called shacks, and I guess they're built on wood pilings about 10 feet above very shallow water right there on the edge of the bay. And it says that the first one was built in the 30s era to get around the restrictions at the time regarding gambling and prohibition. So I guess they made these little shacks out in the water as a way to go out there and party. So originally there were 27 of them, but now sadly due to hurricanes there's only about 7 remaining. But they have built a trust to preserve the remaining shacks, so hopefully those 7 will last a lot longer. So
awesome.
Pretty cool thing to see.
So we really didn't describe why we didn't make it to Staniel Cay, but the reason was that with the speargun debacle, we had to wait in Great Harbour Cay to get back to Bimini and pick up the speargun. So that changed our whole trip, and so now we're on our way back to Key West, and we're almost there.
My nose was itching the entire time. Almost got some live action. I was quick on that, Dave. I was real quick on that video in a
That needs to be edited out.